Latrate Arthur. Amac calling for it. Nice spin move from Dawes Amac and the flush. Oh, Dawes Amac showing off all his skill set. Maldonado sees a lane. It's stopped by Fuller. Maldonado goes left, right around, draws the contact, puts it up and in. Count it. Maldonado putting his team on his back. Woodbury shuffles his feet, drives. Woodbury gets contact. Dawes Amac! Oh, big fella. Throw it down, baby. 33-36. The putback jam from Dawes Amac. Amac gives to Woodbury. Woodbury stops and pops. And that's high percentage from Trey Woodbury. Bound looking for some help. Finally gives way to Maldonado. Latrate Arthur intercepts like a DB. Taking the ball across the court. Across Trey Woodbury. Pump fake gets Maldonado. Puts it on the floor. Up and in. Trey Woodbury. That's old school. Brinson drives the lane. Brinson flies to the lane and gets the contact, but no foul. Count the layup nonetheless. Said pulls up for an open look. No good. Rebounded by Darthard. Darthard pushes it. Dawes Amac. Dawes Amac running the floor. Big fella. Oh, yeah. 61-62. Dawes. Woodbury to Evan Cole with a rack attack. Less than 10 to play. Williams with the deep three. That one comes off. And that rebound right there is a school record for Fardaws. 20 rebound performance. School record in a single game for Fardaws Amac. Trey Woodbury wide open. Trey Woodbury takes the lead for Utah Valley. Will Fardaws Amac get a 30-20 night tonight? Does Wyoming have something up their sleeve? Thompson has three things to say about that. Maldonado goes against Brinson. Maldonado shuffles. Brinson stays in front of him. Maldonado spin move. Gets around his defender. Puts it up and in. Maldonado can't be stopped tonight. 20. Wyoming with a 2-point lead. 19 on the shot clock. Maldonado going against Brinson. Kicks it back out. Thompson for three. Thompson misses. Maldonado gets the rebound. Kicks it back out. Jeffries has been awesome from there. And he finishes again. 6 3-pointers from Jeffries.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show right here on ESPN 960. Those were the sounds from the Wyoming game on Saturday. Utah Valley fell in a tight contest. It was one of the best games so far this season. Utah Valley fell 88-93 against Wyoming, and we'll dive into the specific X's and O's of that game later on down the road. We'll hear from assistant coach Todd Phillips. We'll also hear from head coach Mark Madsen and Fardaws Amac as well. Lots of different storylines to break down over the next 60 minutes or so. As far as Utah Valley goes, they had a pair of losses at home this past week. On Wednesday, they fell to Southern Utah 81-71, and then Saturday again, like we just mentioned, they fell to Wyoming. But there's lots of positive things to dissect and to take away from those games, and we'll dive into the specifics of those later on. And we'll also touch on the Western Athletic Conference. We'll hear from Kyle McDonald and get his take on the developings within the conference. And I say developings because this show airs every Monday. And so in between last week's Monday show and this week's Monday show, there was some big news that was dropped within the conference. Southern Utah University, along with 4 other schools in Texas, received official invitations to join the Western Athletic Conference. So, just put on your thinking caps here for a second. If these schools do join, and if these schools do officially accept this invitation, you will not only have Utah Valley and Dixie State in the same conference, but you will also add in Southern Utah. Southern Utah becomes a natural rival for Dixie State down south. And who would be a natural rival that's not already in a bigger conference for Utah Valley? I can hear you thinking. Yes, if that name did pop up, I was thinking Weber State as well. And so it will not surprise me, and I will not be really taken that far back if we see some news within the next couple weeks or so, if whether or not Weber State gets an invitation to join. Weber State and Southern Utah were both in the Big Sky, and if you would bring in Weber State, that would be a natural fit to have 4 Utah teams in this conference. And another reason why possibly they could be looking at Weber State is because the WAC is trying to bring back their football programs. And if you bring in those schools from Texas, Southern Utah, Dixie, and then Weber, all those schools have football programs. And so it looks like the WAC is really starting to make some moves here. And when it comes to the basketball world, Southern Utah is a great fit. Weber's a great fit. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But Southern Utah this past week, they came into Orem, and they did very well. They are a great team and a very well-coached team. And I would not be surprised to see them contend for the top spot in the Big Sky. And I'm not saying that just because what they were able to do against Utah Valley, but if you take a look at what they've been able to do so far this season, based off of the track record that they had last year, and then adding in these new puzzle pieces, they're doing pretty well. And again, last week was the 10-point defeat for Utah Valley, 81-71. And in that game, in that contest for Utah Valley, Dawes Amack continued to have his prowess and his presence be known. Dawes Amack continued to lead the way defensively and offensively with his rebounds. Dawes Amack, if you haven't heard by now, Dawes Amack leads the country. You know, if we had some cool sound alarms or some special effects, we'd throw that out there. But he leads the country in rebounds per game. Dawes Amack from Utah Valley University leads the country in rebounds per game, averaging about a little over 15 rebounds per game. And he set a school record that we'll dive into a little bit later on Saturday's game versus Wyoming. But again, on Wednesday night, 15 rebounds to his 20 points. And some other notables for Utah Valley offensively, Trey Woodbury added 15 points. Jordan Brinson, we saw his first minutes of action this year with 18 points as well. Now, one of the big downfalls for Utah Valley in that game on Wednesday was their defense. Now, we have not been able to see J.J. Overton this past week because of health concerns. Probably won't see him for another week or so. But J.J. Overton, not only does he average on the offensive side 20-plus points per game, but his athleticism, his length, and his skill set in defending is really what Utah Valley was lacking this past week. And it's one of those interesting questions to bring up, or those interesting thoughts to bring up of, what if they had J.J. Overton against Southern Utah? What if they had him against Wyoming? Would that have made that big of a difference? In my honest opinion, because I'm not a coach, I can say these things. In my honest opinion, I think it does. And I'm not making excuses. This is not an excuse. I'm just saying that when you bring in J.J. Overton and when you bring in what he has brought to the table and what he can do, that is a big difference. And especially in a game where you have two games back-to-back where you have guys go off for 30 points. Now, there was a man by the name of Tevien Jones who could not be stopped. He was unconscious on Wednesday night. Tevien Jones, 10 of 23 from the floor, 5 of 12 from the three-point line, and 8 of 10 from the charity stripe. Finished the game with 33 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. Tevien Jones had length. Tevien Jones was one of the best players on the court. And he was just killing Utah Valley with his moves and his penetration and his shot from distance as well. And so Tevien Jones was somebody that most likely Jamison Overton would have been guarding. Now, Coach Mark Madsen, he and his staff, very competitive, and they don't like to make excuses, which I love, and I'm sure the kids do too. The kids, that is a trait that you would like to have in a coach, because instead of trying to focus on something like that, they try to really dissect and find ways to improve as a team. And so Tevien Jones came in and did what his team needed him to do, and he put them on his back, and he carried them to a victory. 81-71 was that final on Wednesday. Now shifting gears going into Saturday against Wyoming, and Wyoming came into the UCCU Center. Already had taken down Denver on Wednesday, and then just before that, they took down Pac-12 foe Oregon State in Corvallis. And they had a freshman who was very good, Marcus Williams, and earlier this week on Wednesday at Denver, he dropped 30 points, first time in school history, or the second time in school history, but the first time in 10 years that a freshman dropped 30 points. And so Utah Valley was geared and was ready for Marcus Williams and for Hunter Thompson and Kenny Foster and Hunter Maldonado. But little did they know Hunter Maldonado was going to do the same thing to them that Tevien Jones did. Hunter Maldonado on Saturday was 12 for 23 from the floor. He was 1 of 4 from three-point land and 5 of 8 from the free throw line. He finished the night with 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. So Hunter Maldonado was able to find his niche in the post. He's an old school throwback type of guy. Very good footwork and with his pivoting, and he was able to maneuver his way in and around Utah Valley's defense. And again, that's a guy that Utah Valley's J.J. Overton would have been on. And it's one of those things where you can just say, what if, but you can't sit there and beat yourself up over it, which is Coach Mark Matson's philosophy. And we'll hear from Coach Mark Matson in just a minute or so. But take that aside, and you look at the positives here. So going into the offensive side, this is the first time that we were able to see Evan Cole start for Utah Valley. It was on Saturday. He started alongside Dawes Amack, and Dawes Amack and Evan Cole together are a very potent duo. And you can see the confidence ooze from both of them when they were playing with each other. So it was great to see both of them play together. Evan Cole finished the night with 5 rebounds and 12 points. Fardaws Amack had a career high. Not only did he have a career high 27 points, but he had a career high 20 rebounds. He missed 5 free throws, which could have put him at the 30-20 mark. He set a school record for a single game in rebounds with 20 rebounds. So he continues to be just a freaking beast. On the broadcast, I mentioned in an old school nod to Stuart Scott, they call him the Windex man because he's always cleaning up the boards and cleaning the glass. And Fardaws Amack was just an absolute beast. And Trey Woodbury added 23 points as well and 19 points from Jordan Brinson. Now, they're going to need those guys to continue to step up this week when they take on Utah and then Idaho State. But here's what Fardaws Amack had to say after his career performance on Saturday.
Obviously, it's an accomplishment, but to me right now, the win is the most important thing for me. I don't play for stats. I don't play for accolades. I play to win. And if we win and I didn't achieve any of that, I'd be much more happy right now. But it was a tough game. We came out and executed, I'd say, about 85% of the game, and did what we were supposed to do 85% of the game. But it's a game of basketball. It's a game of runs. But we just got to get back in the gym and get better, and do that for more than 85% of the game.
What do you feel like made the difference in this one as far as that went?
In my opinion, I would say we missed a few box outs. Myself personally, I don't know how many free throws I missed, but I missed a few. Collectively, I think we missed 8 or 9 or more. I'm not too sure. But I think, little stuff like that are very correctable. Once we fix those, we win games like this by 10 or more. But it's a grind, and we just got to stick to it and continue to do what we're supposed to do.
Gotta love those comments from Fardaws Amack. Fardaws, again, one of those players that you would love to have on your team, and saying, personal accolades don't really mean much. We didn't get the victory, but we're going to go back into the lab. And it kind of echoes the same sentiments that you're going to hear from Coach Mark Matson, but nonetheless, this is what Coach Mark Matson had to say as well.
Well, when I went in after the game at halftime, and when I went in after the game, I talked to them about how we have to have a better first half. We had 5 or 6 defensive lapses in the first half, and so we dug ourselves a hole. And that's part of the learning process, but we cannot have those lapses in the first half in terms of coverages that we did not execute, in terms of losing sight of shooters. Now, conversely, in the second half, we went out there and for the most part, the guys not only competed, but they executed the game plan almost to a T. And so the thing that I spoke to the team about after the game, and this is every player included, every coach included, is we have to build our consistency. And as we build consistency, we're going to be able to the entirety of a game, and we'll be able to play. And in the future, we'll be able to come away with the win, shooting for and reaching for. But this one slipped away from us in the first half. We battled back, we fought, but it wasn't enough, and we have to be better.
So that was Fardaws Amac and Coach Mark Madsen after their game on Saturday against Wyoming. Their loss, 88-93 was that one at the UCCU Center in Orem, Utah. So heading into this game tomorrow against University of Utah, we saw what Utah did this past week to Idaho State. Interesting stat there, one that I'm going to keep my eye out for, especially tomorrow night, is Idaho State out-rebounded Utah by 20-plus rebounds. Now, if Idaho State can out-rebound Utah, then I'm thinking that if our guys can come out and continue to play the way that they have been playing, especially in the post, that's going to give Utah a lot to handle, probably more than they think that they would be able to handle. So that'll be a very interesting matchup to watch. Utah Valley had over 20 more points in the paint than Wyoming did. And Wyoming had some big bruisers in the post. But you're going to hear from Coach Mark Madsen that their three-point defense, the perimeter defense, is ultimately what was the final nail in the coffin. And Drake Jeffries yesterday, he was 6 of 9 from the floor. All 6 of those shots came from three-point land. So he finished the night with 21 points, and you can't, granted, not every guy's going to go out there and drop 6 three-pointers, but you can't leave some of those three-pointers open. A couple of those three-pointers were preventable for sure. But we're just getting started here on the UVU Coaches Show on ESPN 960. Again, we're going to hear from Coach Mark Madsen next. We got Todd Phillips down the road, as well as Kyle McDonald to break down all things Western Athletic Conference. We're just getting started. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on ESPN 960.
25 years. Amazing moments. Amazing crowds. Game winners.
The Wolverines come from behind.
Support Utah Valley Athletics. Donate $25 to celebrate 25 years at the UCCU Center. 500,000 visitors witnessed athletic achievement at the UCCU Center. Support UVU Athletics today.
Hi, I'm Blake. And I'm Ben. Start your holidays at the Murdoch Season of Giving event. With every new vehicle purchase, customers receive a $250 holiday VIP gift card to Utah's locally owned Al Sporting Goods. In the spirit of giving, a portion of each sale is being donated to Utah Foster Care during the holidays. As the saying goes, it's always better to give than receive.
This month, Murdoch Hyundai is giving our customers 0% for 72 months on the Tucson, Santa Fe, and Sonata, plus $1,000 bonus cash or no payments until April 2021.
You've got to come and see us online at murdochhyundai.com.
Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. And post-practice courtside, sitting here with Wolverines head coach Mark Madsen. Coach, we'll get into the X's and O's with how the week was and what the week is ahead of us in just a second. But I did do some research based off our last conversation with some Crocs. And is there a certain model for a Croc rookie I need to start with?
Brandon, I would say this. It's all about the color.
Okay.
The comfort, you can't go wrong, but the color is the key. You don't want to go brown, but it's either black or jet blue.
Okay. I will keep that in mind. I will send those lists to Santa Claus here pretty soon or the next coming weeks. How's the family, Coach?
Family's doing great. We had a great weekend. We went to services. We spent some good quality time together, getting ready for the holidays. So we got the lights out front. But the family's doing well. You know, our 2 sons continue to grow. William loves basketball, and so he'll come in here to the practice facility and just have a ball. He'll just have a ball. Roy is still kind of finding it. He's still growing and developing. He's 10 months old, but it's a lot of fun. And obviously Hannah is such a huge part of our family, the basketball program, everything we do.
You tied into one of the questions I was going to ask is, do you have a little hoop for William yet at the house?
Yeah, we have multiple hoops.
Multiple, okay.
Yeah, we have multiple.
Excellent. Now, Coach, growing up, if you weren't playing basketball, were there any other sports that were interesting to you at all?
Football is a sport that I played for a while. I love football. Played some tight end. Played a little bit of offensive line. Tried out for the baseball team. I could field the ball. I had a hard time hitting it. But I love all sports. I love all sports, and it's great to be part of this group. We have a tremendous group of young men, multi-dimensional players, and great students. And so it's an honor to be coaching them.
Excellent. Now, Coach, we do have some social media questions. Stephen Worthland from North Carolina wants to know, what's the biggest difference that you've seen so far between the players at the NCAA level and then at the NBA?
Well, it's a great question from Steve. So a few things. I would say, number one, the athleticism. In most cases, the athleticism and the size at the NBA level is just different. Guys are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. There's more specialists in the NBA, guys that are phenomenal at one or two things. A great world-class shooter, someone that can really defend, someone that can really rebound. In college, you've got some players that are able to be great college players through sheer grit. In the NBA, you got to have a little bit more than that in the tank to be able to get something done in an NBA game.
And then this one in from Calvin Jellings. What motivates you to keep going when the going gets tough?
Well, Calvin, I would say this. I think about a lot of the great examples through history, that the guys that just battled. Some of the phrases that are in my mind are Churchill, never give up. He's taking on Nazi Germany. You look at MLK and the leadership that he had, and just continuing to persist. I look at my own parents, who are phenomenal people, phenomenal parents, and the normal hardships and trials that every family goes through. And so I look at some of those people, and I we have great examples out there, and you try to just battle forward when times get tough.
Now, the last social media question from Tyler French in San Diego. He wants to know, when you're scouting or planning for an opponent, what are your main focuses on planning for those opponents? And then also, what are your assistant coaches doing on the bench during a game for you?
Yeah. Let's take the scouting component of the question first. So in scouting, we break it into multiple components. We have an analytics team that studies all the analytics of every single player individually and every team individually. And so, for example, we know if a post player gets the ball on the left block, we know exactly which move he prefers. We know the breakdown of how often he goes left versus right. What we really look for is what we call standout stats. For example, if a player has 50 post-ups, and if he's gone to his left shoulder, meaning a right-handed hook, 48 times, that tells us we are going to sit on his right-handed hook all day and force him to go the other way. Now, we might get beat on it, but that tells us his comfort level going the other way is really low. In terms of in-game, we have a tremendous group of assistant coaches and different responsibilities. Jared Jackson focuses basically almost entirely on defense. He's our defensive coordinator, so he's helping us with matchups. He's in my ear with ideas and thoughts and things that he's seen. He tracks every single defensive possession during the course of a game, so he helps me know when to switch from man to zone based on outcome. Todd Okeson kind of handles both sides of the ball. He does a lot with defense. He does a lot with offense. He kind of has a pulse on what's going on the bench with the players. I'm talking to him frequently throughout the game, and Coach Phillips is our head offensive coordinator. Coach Phillips will make suggestions throughout the game on plays we can run, ways we can exploit the other team's defensive schemes, and he helps me a lot with substitution patterns in terms of managing minutes and fouls. Phil Jackson told his assistants the only mistake they'll make is if they're thinking something and they don't say it. And so I really encourage every member of the staff to be vocal about what they're thinking. And I've been on that side of the ball also. I was an assistant for Byron Scott, for Luke Walton, and for Mike D'Antoni. And sometimes in the heat of a game and a timeout, you're thinking something, and you know, some of the times you say, "Man, I'm thinking this. Do I say it?" A lot of times you have so much conviction you say it, but sometimes you're thinking something and you're not sure as an assistant. And so I really encourage my assistants to tell me anything that's in their mind. It's my job to make the final decision on it.
So essentially, you would rather have somebody say something to you than not, even if you disagree.
100%. I mean, there's plenty of suggestions that are made during the course of a game that I don't take. There's plenty of suggestions that are made that I do take. But when it's all said and done, as the head coach, I make the decision. And I'm the one living with it, and I'm the one that I'm going to make that decision.
Has that part of being a head coach, has that been something that you found to be more difficult or more challenging than you thought it would be?
You know, I love it. I love that responsibility. You know, I've been head coach a few times for the Lakers Summer League team, and I really, you know, I embrace the opportunity to make the tough decision. And let's face it, it's kind of like life. Sometimes you're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be wrong. An example in our game last night was there's 40 seconds left in the game. Wyoming is up 2. And I made the decision that I'll probably make 95% of the time to trust our defense and get a defensive stop. And then we've got 10 seconds left to go down there and tie or win the game. We got the stop. We were not able to execute to get the rebound, and it got the ball was flipped out for an open 3. But that's a decision I'll make the same way 95% of the time. The other option is to foul. Now the problem if you foul is at that time Wyoming was in the double bonus, and so if you foul and put a guy on the line, then all of a sudden if he makes both, it's a 2-possession game. And so but these are the types of decisions that you make in real time and that you make based on really a lifetime of experience.
And again, those, you know, it's easy for the armchair quarterbacks at home to sit and say, well, he should have done this, but you're saying in real time and it's seconds. You know, you have to make these decisions, which is pretty crazy. But in speaking about this communication that you have with your staff, a couple weeks ago after your post-game presser, I think it was after Westminster, you were talking about how you felt like this team needed to be better at communicating. Do you feel like they have progressed with that?
100%. We do a number of drills every day to open practice. We call it 4 lines. We've had to scale back on that during the pandemic because we actually try to practice physical distancing for probably 80 to 90% of our practice. And so we can't group the guys up as much. But one of the whole premises of 4 lines is to force and demand communication. Phil Jackson did it with us as players. A simple example would be, you know, you have 4 lines on the baseline and 2 of the lines are crossing constantly with the inside man going first. Well, in order to execute that properly, the inside man always has to be saying, I'm first, you're second, I'm first, you're second. I remember when we did it at the Lakers, I thought, this is kind of dumb. But then Phil Jackson pointed out, he said, hey, you guys, if you don't communicate in practice, if you don't talk to each other in practice, you're not going to do it in the game. And so we try to force communication. And by the way, that was 20 years ago. Before cell phones, before, you know, all of us are glued to our phone at times.
Sure.
And we're losing out on those communication skills. So we really try to foster that, Brandon.
Coach, 2 games this week. You head out to Salt Lake for Utah on Tuesday, and then you come back here for Idaho State on Saturday. What are you expecting from this Utah team that you've seen in the field?
Well, the one thing I know about University of Utah is they play gritty and they're scrappy. Larry Krystowiak has done an excellent job ever since he got to Utah. I mean, he's just had a phenomenal coaching career. He understands X's and O's. His guys play very hard, and he does a great job recruiting. You look at the players that Larry Krystowiak has developed into very, very good NBA players. Kyle Kuzma, DeLon Wright, Jacob Pirtle. These are not just NBA scrubs. These guys are tremendous NBA players. I coached Kyle Kuzma for 2 or 3 years at the Lakers. He's an all-pro player in the making. And Larry Krystowiak has been part of their recruitment, development, and mentorship.
And then again, transitioning to Idaho State real quick. Last thoughts about the Bengals.
Well, Idaho State is a team that can, they can stretch it out. They can make the three. They can put the ball down and attack the paint. They have a strong inside presence, and so that they can score from multiple levels. And they're a team that every time they take the court, they're going to be playing hard, tough, and gritty. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a very tough game.
Last thought here, Coach. Keys to success for Utah Valley this week.
Defend the three-point line, box out in key situations, and push tempo.
Excellent. As always, Coach, gracias for your time.
Brandon, gracias a ti y espero verte en los días que vienen.
All right, I'll send that to my dad for translation. We'll be right back with more on the UVU Coaches Show right after this.
Some people see just another local Utah sports app. Oh, wait, what? A local Utah sports app? Introducing the new KSL Sports app, powered by KSLSports.com, Utah's only all-in local sports app, connecting you with all the action you love. The latest news, insider analysis, podcasts from the pros, and so much more. Free. Available right now, anywhere you are. Download the free KSL Sports app today from your favorite app store.
To the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960, and this will be recorded before the Wyoming game on Saturday. But we're pleased to be joined by assistant coach Todd Phillips. Coach, I know it's been a crazy year, but take us back. Really, we'll start back in March. Take us back to what was that experience like, being with Coach Madsen and Coach Okeson and Coach Johnson, and talking with the team, saying, "Hey, you know what? We can't play the rest of the season."
It was a really weird, surreal kind of deal. I mean, we're there at the arena getting ready to play. We watched our girls play. We kind of hear some murmurs going around a little bit about different games maybe being canceled, and all of a sudden it kind of comes out that the game that night, the last men's game, had been canceled. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Are we going to play ours tomorrow? Are they going to postpone it? What are they going to do? And so it just kind of snowballed from there of canceling the games. To be honest, we didn't think they'd cancel them. They'd already played a few. The women had played, and so we figured we'd get through all of our games. And the WAC had been pretty progressive of letting us play. And then all of a sudden, the NBA thing, we watched on TV as the NBA didn't play that Jazz game. And all of a sudden, it was just a snowball effect. And then, all of a sudden, the season's over. We're prepping the next morning at breakfast for Seattle. And, then the word comes down, we're not playing. And then we have to tell our guys. And, it's kind of a humbling, hard time, because you kind of gear up for your third season of playing in the tournament, and kind of get you guys ready to go. And they're excited. And then to have to kind of tell them, hey, the season's over. We're going to get on a bus in a couple hours and go home.
What did you personally learn from that experience?
What I learned, that's kind of interesting. I think just kind of learn how quickly things can evolve and change. Kind of nothing like that's really happened before in my lifetime of coaching, and I've been doing this 20 plus years. Of how quickly things can kind of just go from prepping and in the height of getting ready to go to on a bus home. And so I think the importance of, every game's important. Every experience you have with your players is so important and so valuable.
Now, fast forward a couple more months. What was the offseason like for you and the rest of the coaching staff?
Well, our thing was actually, we had a good off season. I mean, our big thing was we wanted to get the kids back on campus. We wanted to get our hands on them. We wanted them to feel some normalcy. We had kids in Canada, kids in Georgia. We got kids all over the place, and we just wanted to feel some sense of belonging, sense of purpose. Because what happens, you're home, a lot of stuff shut down, you can't get in the gym. Our big kid, Amac, he's done a good job of maintaining his weight, but when he's not working out, he can gain weight. And so we had a lot of guys in that same situation of they've worked so hard over the year to get to where their bodies are ready to play college basketball, is now to not be doing anything. And they're bored and they start to feel a little depression. So it was really important for us to get our guys back on campus. You know, we knew they were safe here. We had a really clean environment, you know, better than anything that they have at home. And so with our facilities and stuff, so we actually had a good summer. We had them all in here working out and all that stuff. And so it was really productive for us.
What are some things that you've been able to observe or learn from Coach Madsen so far as you guys are, you know, starting your second year together?
You know, I think the big thing for us as coaches is learning to play off your head coach, you know, to take his strengths and you know, you accentuate those and then, you know, build on different things there. And so, you know, his coach's relationship with the guys is fabulous, you know, much probably different than a lot of D1 coaches who grew up D1. You know, Coach has a great relationship with them, kind of, you know, coming from a different experience of the NBA, and it's much more of a not peer relationship, but knowing each other better and kind of the hierarchy that maybe college basketball has. And so kind of learning from Coach of how to kind of get on their level a little bit better and to help understand their needs and, you know, things like that. Kind of sometimes as a coach, I know I did, when I was a JUCO, is kind of like, okay, these guys just need to do this. We're not going to tell them why. They just got to do it. And Coach is really good at listening to the players and saying, hey, Coach, we're dead. Our bodies are bad. Okay, we'll go light today. And so kind of those experiences have been really good to learn from him on that. And then obviously just being around him with, you know, he has endless stories of the NBA, and, you know, you kind of see it on TV, what happened, but then kind of that behind the scenes and how some of these guys really are, and maybe the character of who they kind of you think they are is different than who they really are as a person. What's one of those stories that he's told you that you just love? Radio appropriate stories. Yeah, exactly. No, I think his talk of Kevin Garnett, you know, a lot of people, you know his persona, kind of a wild, crazy guy, really, really aggressive. You know, I've heard lots of antics of him, you know, cursing all the time on the court and stuff like that. But, you know, Coach basically talks to us about he's one of his favorite people because he brought it every day to practice. It wasn't just for games. You know, the guy came from high school strictly to the NBA and had a long, long career. And, you know, he just brought it every day at practice, you know, and the games and just how caring he was kind of off the floor with guys and kind of Coach's relationship with him, which is kind of, you know, you wouldn't think that those two would have a really tight relationship, but, you know, kind of his experiences there. So it's a great perspective to see and to learn more things about, you know, some of those guys in the NBA.
That's good stuff. Now, Coach, recently this past week, word came out, you know, in KSL articles, all these things about the WAC expanding and offering Southern Utah and then other conferences in Texas. I know this is really your only second year in the WAC, but what do you think about the WAC expansion and what do you think that says about the conference in general?
You know, I like it. Obviously, having teams like Southern Utah added to the conference would be fantastic. You know, if that happens, I mean, having teams that are closer around here and natural rivalries is awesome. You know, obviously us and Dixie coming to the league last year is going to be fabulous, and those two actually will be a big time rivalry for those two. And so I'm excited for that. You know, as the league is looking to progress and be more aggressive, getting out there and bringing teams in. So I'm excited for that. You know, I think we have some really good teams in the league right now and starting to develop some great rivalries. But you know, we know things are always changing. And so it's good to be at the forefront of that and to be more aggressive than to be passive and let, you know, everybody else take your teams or guys moving somewhere else and the league not being aggressive to look to move and to be better. So I'm excited for that.
Now, Coach, so far, you haven't even had a full team yet play together. You've shown a lot of great promise on the court, facing some tough opponents. Last week, Southern Utah, a very tough opponent, tough loss, but you're getting ready for Wyoming here today. What have you seen so far early on in this season from your squad that really makes you excited about the future?
You know, and I think you hit it right on there. It's kind of hard because we haven't had our team, and it's not like, you know, we've been missing key elements to our team that kind of changes how we play. You know, we've been playing obviously with Trey Woodbury at the 4 because we've had Tim Fuller and Evan Cole out, and so we went from we thought would be really big and physical this year to kind of a smaller team with, and all of a sudden, and so now getting those guys back, we got to change back and figure out what we're doing. And obviously with the hit now of JJ Overton being out for the next 2 weeks is a killer for us. But I think we're learning to play together, which we got a ton of new guys and guys trying to learn the system and guys trying to make that jump to Division I. And so it's given guys a chance to explore their games and to figure out really where they fit. Because I think at the end of the day, we got to embrace our roles. We're really big at preaching roles to our guys. And what's hard right now is it's hard to identify those roles because it's been different every game. It's like, hey, Trey, we need you to go rebound. It's like, but coach, I'm a kind of a 2-3. I need to go drive and shoot. It's like, yeah, we need more rebounds from you. We need this from another guy. So I think guys, eventually, as we kind of all click together, embracing our roles and building on one another, it's been great to see the play of, obviously JJ's been fabulous. Trey Woodbury's been unbelievable, and then Fardaws has been, he's number one rebounder in the country. And to be honest, I work with the bigs a lot, and I don't think Fardaws has reached even close to his potential yet. He's been playing really good, but he's got so much more improvement that he's going to make in the next couple of weeks that, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with inside.
That's a scary thought. Here you have the number one rebounder in the country, and he's not even reached his full potential yet. That's a good thing to have here at Utah Valley. Coach, getting ready for Wyoming, what are you expecting from this tough Mountain West team?
I think the big thing that we've seen as we've done the scout on these guys is they're much more talented than they were last year. They're playing really well right now. They kind of spread you out, and then they try to pick on mismatches. They got a couple guys that can really get to the basket, and then they got 2 or 3 shooters surrounding them. They're big, space the floor and shoot it, which makes it hard for us to kind of clog the paint. Again, we haven't seen Evan Cole hardly at all, so I haven't talked much about him, but we haven't seen him play except for 10 minutes in a game the other day after 2 practices. So he's trying to get his legs back, and so hopefully he can help clog the paint and get out to shooters with his quickness today. And then I think a lot of this right now for us is trying to figure out where our strengths lie as a team when it gets hard, when things go bad. Who are we counting on? Where the ball need to go? And so what I'm hoping today is that 1, we give maximum effort, but 2, that we continue to develop as a team, because it's like this whole preseason is so crazy. With what's going on, that these games are important, but it's also important for us to get ourselves sorted out so that we're ready for league, play. So I'm excited to see what happens today.
Well, Coach, we know you're busy. Thank you for taking the time to be with us, and hope to see you soon.
You bet. Appreciate it.
That was Coach Todd Phillips for the Utah Valley men's basketball team. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back with more on ESPN 960 after this.
At UCCU, we do mortgages fast.
Seriously fast. Just use your phone or computer to fill out UCCU's super easy mortgage application.
You'll receive an instant pre-approval before you start shopping.
Your completed mortgage file will be underwritten by UCCU's very own in-house professionals.
Like us.
Seriously fast.
Buying or refinancing a home has never been this easy.
Seriously fast and super easy.
It's what I do.
It's what I do.
It's what we do.
I love this view.
I love that every time this commercial airs, I get to drink another Mountain Dew.
All right, everybody, it's been a good show so far. We've heard from Coach Mark Madsen and Assistant Coach Todd Phillips. Now it is our weekly trip to the Western Athletic Conference via WacHoopsDigest.com's Kyle McDonald. We got to get some sort of theme song or something going for you, Kyle, for this segment.
I don't know quite what that would be. I haven't figured that one out yet. So when I figure that out, I'll get back to you, and I think we could probably work it in there somehow.
I'm sure you got between your connections or careers or Bianucci. So one of your peeps, they've got some. Bianucci's brother has a band. I'm sure he can make one up for you.
Yeah, I got a few people that could probably do something for me. So, I mean, it's worth a shot. It's always a possibility, but that with everything that's going on, that kind of hasn't been a thought. But now that you mention it, maybe I should bring it up and figure out a way to get me an intro song when we come on this segment of the show.
If not for our show, at least for your own podcast and everything that you have, at least that'd be good. But Kyle, Utah Valley, they lost 2 games at home this past week. Southern Utah, which we knew they were a good team, we knew Wyoming was good too. Utah Valley had some good performances, but we still know that there is a lot more to these Wolverines that we just haven't seen yet.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing we haven't seen, and I don't know if it's a little off topic, is the fact that we haven't seen the full Utah Wolverine roster take the floor yet. Jamison Overton missed both games this week due to illness. I know Mark Madsen didn't specify if it was COVID related or anything else, but just that they're hoping to have him back real quick. But I mean, this was the week you were excited because Tim Fuller was going to be back. Colby Leeson was going to get more minutes. Evan Cole took the floor. But then you get there. I got there on, Wednesday night when they hosted Southern Utah, and Jamison Overton wasn't dressed. And, that's the one thing. I want to see this team, the full team, that Mark Madsen's put together, because I think, at least on Saturday, when they were playing Wyoming, J.J. Overton is more of a defense, is a better defender. And late in that game, he would have been able to defend and make some stops that Utah Valley didn't get. And so I want to see a full team. Fardas Amac is just having a wonderful season. I mean, he had a 20-20 game basically on Saturday night, 27 points, program record 20 rebounds. Obviously the first player to ever be in the 2020 club. He continues to dominate the paint, leading rebounder in the nation. Jordan, the one guy that really impressed me this week was Jordan Brinson. I think he had some breakout games. He was able to get to the rim. He shot a little bit better. He played with a lot of energy and was really on attack mode. And I think if you get J.J. Overton back, then you have Trey Woodbury, Jordan Brinson, Fardas, Evan Cole, and J.J. You got 5 guys that can impact the game in a lot of different ways. And I mean, that's all it's all about, is having this full team there. They really are a good basketball team. Just got to figure out finishing games late. But, once we see this full team on the floor, I think Utah Valley is going to be a very impressive basketball team this year.
Yeah, that's, one of the things we knew heading into this season was how crazy it was going to be due to COVID and things like that, illnesses, just safety protocols. And I agree. I can't wait to see this full team, before JJ sat out, averaging 20-plus points. And not only that, but like you said, his athleticism and his defense would have probably helped subdue those 2 30-plus point performances from Southern Utah and from Wyoming. But looking ahead to this week with Utah, tomorrow, we've seen a little bit of what Utah has been able to do, as well as Idaho State. What are you expecting from the Wolverines this week?
Well, so with the Utah game, I'm hoping it's actually played on Sunday afternoon. There was a release put out that Dixie State's game with Utah State was canceled on Tuesday. The irony of that is that Utah State in the headline actually said they're looking for a game later in the week. So it's like, why would you cancel that game only to say that you're looking for a game later in the week? So I hope that Utah keeps their game with Utah Valley. I think these in-state regional games are just so important. If you were paying attention on Sunday night, you saw that Grand Canyon narrowly took down, or I shouldn't say took down. They hung with Arizona State and barely lost by 1 point on a crazy three-pointer by Remy Martin. 6 seconds to play. Utah Valley just has to play their game. Jordan Brinson's got to be on attack mode. Fardaws has to continue to be good around the rim, rebound. Evan Cole, I think, has to hit some outside shots, only because teams aren't really respecting him. Tyler Creer, who was watching the game on Saturday, mentioned that Evan Cole has chances to hit 3 balls. He needs to hit those so that it brings the defender out, that opens up the paint a little bit more. Trey Woodbury, I think we mentioned it prior to coming on the show. He has to have the ball in his hands, and I like what Mark Madsen did at the end of the Wyoming game, where Trey was bringing the ball up and basically forcing the action. And, we saw that BYU put a big trouncing on Utah on Saturday night. Utah Valley has the pieces in place, and hopefully J.J. Overton's back. Hopefully the game's played. And if it is, I think Utah Valley can go up on the hill and beat the Utes. And with Idaho State, you always like that I-15 rivalry. So I think if Utah Valley just does what it does best, which is get up and down the floor, rebound, and communicate on defense, I think they can win both these games this week.
I agree with you, Kyle. Real quick, last 60 seconds or so, rapid fire roundup from the WAC this past week.
Well, Grand Canyon, I think, showed the WAC that they're for real this year. They got a good win over a good Nevada team. And then they lost to Arizona State on a crazy three-pointer by Remy Martin with 6 seconds to play. They proved everybody that they're for real. Still waiting for New Mexico State to get back on the floor. California Baptist has won 4 in a row. Dixie State is the only undefeated team. Well, no, one of 2 undefeated teams in the WAC. It's New Mexico State. But 2 of their 3 wins have come against Division I opponents. They got a road win on Saturday at Denver, first one in their Division I era. So a lot of good things happening. Just got to get some of these wins. Like Utah Valley should have had 2 wins this week, with Southern Utah, Wyoming. Grand Canyon should have beat Arizona State. It's exciting, but we want to see more wins. And I know they'll come, and we only have, 3 weeks before conference play starts. So looking forward to more games, and, hopefully they get played and teams get the opportunity to build some chemistry as we get ready, for 3 weeks, 4 weeks before conference play starts.
Good stuff as always, Kyle. Thanks for the time, my man.
Thanks, Brandon, for having me. Always enjoy talking to you.